Hey historians, this is Mrs. Tyler. We're going to finish up Unit 2, Notes 1 on Foreign Policies of the Early President. The previous video for this set of notes covered Presidents 1 through 3. So let's talk about President James Madison. During James Madison's presidency, France and Britain were still at war, and neither country wanted the U.S. to trade with their enemy. Madison offered a deal to both countries. He would stop trading with the enemy of the country who promised to leave U.S. ships alone. France quickly agreed, and the U.S. stopped trading with Britain, but this made Britain even more angry. They continued to kidnap U.S. sailors and seize U.S. ships heading to France. Britain was also sending weapons to American Indians who were fighting white settlers. In 1812, Madison requested that Congress declare war on Great Britain. After 2 years of fighting, the Treaty of Ghent ended the war. We'll go more in depth coming up in future notes, Notes 4 of our Unit 2 packet. We'll talk more about the War of 1812, which goes on when James Madison is president. So Madison is president from 1809 to 1817. His dilemma is that the British are interfering with U.S. trade and supplying American Indians with weapons. His solution is to make a treaty with France. He asked Congress to declare war on Britain, and he signed the Treaty of Ghent with Britain. So Madison's going to be the first president that goes to Congress and asks to declare war, which puts him more on this involvement side of the foreign policy spectrum. All right, the next scenario in our activity is the last one. You and country A, which is Britain, are back to peaceful terms after the War of 1812. You're no longer at war. A and B, countries A and B, Britain and France, are no longer at war as well, which is like the first time in all of these scenarios that we've had that happen. Some of your neighboring countries have been colonies of country C, which I'll just give you a hint. Country C is Spain, for about 300 years. They were inspired to rebel and fight for their independence, basically by the United States. They kind of gave them an idea, like, hey, if those colonies can fight for independence from their colonizing European country, why couldn't we? Okay, so Britain approaches you and says you should join them in supporting Mexico and many of the South American countries who are colonies of Spain in rebelling against Spain. Many of the other European countries are afraid their colonies are going to start rebelling too, and they want you to support Spain instead. So what are you going to do? Are you going to tell country A to mind its own business for once and side with all the other European countries? Are you going to ask Congress to declare war on Spain because you love a good revolution? Are you going to join with country A, Britain, and tell Spain to pack up and go home? Or are you going to tell all countries, A through F, to stay out of our business and stick to their side of the planet? Okay, if you said A, you get 2 points. You'd be kind of hypocritical since the United States, our rebellion is what inspired Mexico to do this. So it would kind of come across as if we're too good to be colonies, but you should stay a colony of some other country. So that's not really a great choice. If you said B, 1 point. Do you really think you need to declare war on more enemies? If you chose C, you get 3 points. This might help fix up your relationship with country A or Britain. And if you chose D, you get 5 points. Way to assert your power. It's about time the world starts taking us seriously. And that's exactly what happened when President Monroe was in office. During James Monroe's presidency, things in Europe were finally quiet, and the U.S. hoped to return to isolationism. But situations were heating up in Latin America. Regions from Mexico through South America were rising up against their colonizing power, Spain. Americans and the British supported independence movements in the new Latin American nations. They hoped that they'd now be open for trade. Other European countries wanted to support Spain. In 1823, President Monroe, after seeking advice from Madison and Jefferson, issued the Monroe Doctrine. It warns European nations to stay out of the Western Hemisphere, and it declares the Americas closed to colonization. So, James Monroe was president from 1817 to 1825. His dilemma is that some of the European countries wanted to help Spain keep its Latin American colonies. His solution is to issue the Monroe Doctrine. He told Europe that the Western Hemisphere is now closed to colonization and to stay out of the Americas. He's hoping to get us back this direction towards isolationism, and all of these other European countries are kind of still trying to dig in their feet and maintain colonies in these parts of the world. And so Monroe was like, you guys, you need, Europe, you just need to stay on this side of the hemisphere. This can be where you guys deal with stuff. We got things covered over here. You guys do not need to colonize this part of the world anymore. So let's see how you did as president. If you got 3 to 8 points, you clearly aren't presidential material. I think Congress is discussing an impeachment hearing. If you got 9 to 13 points, you're an ineffective leader. You certainly won't win re-election. You just can't cut it as president. If you got 14 to 20 points, you're not well loved, but you make a tolerable president. You'll have to spend some extra money on your re-election campaign, but you might get to keep your job. And if you get 21 to 25 points, you're an effective president. You know how to tend to the needs of your citizens and balance the demands of foreign countries. You will win re-election by a landslide. All right, so this whole set of notes should be filled in at this point. Okay, and then there was a little song. There was this little song that we sang to remember the Monroe Doctrine. And so I'll sing it for you so that you can remember. Yes, we talked about how this song is super cringy. It's to a tune that's very familiar to kids, but because it's so cringy, it's very memorable. And so when we take quizzes and tests, I often hear students humming it to help them remember what the Monroe Doctrine is. So here we go. It goes, Monroe Doctrine, Europe stay away, Europe stay away. We don't want to see you colonize the Western Hemisphere anymore. All right, so that's the end of Unit 2, Notes 1. Thank you for listening and have a great day.